This is WAAY 31 Law Call.
Good evening and welcome to WAAY 31 Law Call. I'm Sharon Doviet. Tonight we're taking your calls and questions about fighting the insurance company. If you have an insurance claim, whether it's a homeowner's claim because you've had damage to your house, or it's been a car accident and you're making a claim against your car insurance, it is the adjuster's job to try and get you to take the lowest amount. And they've got a variety of tactics. We'll talk you through that. We'll also talk about if you give up too soon and you take the lower amount, then you have received less than your claim is actually worth. Now, how do you know what it's worth? How do you talk to somebody to figure that out? Call in your questions about fighting the insurance company, the 31 Law Call number 256-536-0077. We'll talk to you live on the air, or you can also now text your question to that exact same number, 256-536-0077. You can also email questions. You send them to lawcall@waytv.com, and when we get to a show that's on point, we pull them out. We've got some of your email questions lined up for tonight. We've also got Will Leake here from Timberlake, League & Brooks. Good to have you here tonight.
Good evening, Sharon. Good evening, everybody. We're all about insurance tonight.
All about insurance.
Whether it be, health insurance, hospital bills that aren't covered, you thought they were covered, homeowners coverage, car wrecks, which is the most type of insurance claim that we end up handling. Anything, be brave. Give us a shout tonight. Happy to hear from you guys and answer your questions on anything related to insurance. And everybody has it, Sharon.
Yeah.
Everybody needs it. My kids are getting out of college, getting their first jobs, and all of a sudden, hey, here's my check. I've got this insurance coming out.
Yeah.
Whether it be, health insurance, paying for their vehicle. How does that come in? Doesn't come automatically. Oftentimes you graduate from college, you can be on your parents' insurance, usually till age 26 under most policies. Sometimes those are different. So what does your employer provide in the way of insurance, whether it be life insurance or health insurance? And talk about a lot of those issues tonight.
Yeah, I bet your kids are asking you questions, right? When they're signing up to pay their first auto insurance themselves. What does this mean? And is it worth it to buy this other thing? So call in your questions about that. We'll talk about it.
That's right.
We've got video to get us started off. We always like to start off with a little video while we lock in questions. So we pull this off of YouTube. You make the law call. Look at this white SUV that comes out of nowhere from the side. We can't tell what it is that causes him to run into this telephone pole, crash into it, take it out. And thank goodness the lines and other poles did not come down on these vehicles. When something like that happens, y'all deal with all kinds of personal injury cases. Car accidents like that, will the driver of a car have to pay for the city or county to reinstall that, or if it were worse?
Right.
What all would they have to pay for?
Yeah, and it doesn't look like there's any other vehicle involved. Of course, we can't see further out to the right, but let's assume that this white car, nothing else happened, it was just him. There could be a defense. Let's assume he or she had a medical emergency.
Yeah.
That may be a defense. However, if there's negligence, if the city proves or the county proves that there's negligence involved in this crash, that particular driver is responsible for the damages. Hopefully, he or she has insurance, motor vehicle insurance, which will pay the property damage up into those limits. So let's say it's $100,000 worth of liability coverage, and there's $80,000 worth of damage to the pole and to fix the intersection. Insurance will cover it, you're good. Your rates may rise because you've made a claim, let's be fair. Every time you make a claim, they're keeping track of it. But unfortunately, if it's more than your insurance coverage, then you may be personally responsible for it, and the city may have a claim directly against you for the difference. So if it's $120,000 worth of damage, you only get $100,000 in coverage, that makes a difference. And so we've handled this particular case before, and we had a Good Samaritan. A Good Samaritan stopped, rendering aid to the person in the white car, and then another car comes in, hits the down wire and injures our client. And so the other vehicle's insurance would pay for medical bills, pain and suffering, compensatory damages, things like that. So, insurance in all facets comes into play in this particular situation.
You gotta have it.
Sure does.
Okay, we've got callers waiting. We've got Vanessa on the line with a question from Florence. Hi, Vanessa. Thanks for calling. What's your question tonight? Hey, Vanessa. What's your question tonight? Do we still?
Hello.
Hi, Vanessa. Thanks for calling. What's your question tonight?
I had a fire at my home, and it was a total loss. And my maintenance person had a fire in the backyard. So they said that they don't know if that caused the fire, but then they said it might have been electrical, but they can't prove it was electrical because after the fire, someone went in the house and stole all of the electrical stuff, the wires and stuff. So my question is, because they feel like it might have been electrical, but they don't know, is there a chance that I may have to get an attorney?
All right, Vanessa, you said in the very beginning, I missed, you said it was what kind of fire?
My house, it actually blew up. The neighbor said he heard a bomb, a boom, boom, 3 big booms, and the house blew up. So they can't tell if it was electrical or any other type that started the fire, because someone stole all of the electrical copper wire and stuff.
Thank goodness you weren't home for that. Glad you're okay.
You know, maybe. It depends on, you know, if the insurance company will really, we advise people like you to, hey, talk to the insurance company. If you can work it out, great. If you can work it out with another party, great. Now, I say that with a little bit of warning that oftentimes you don't want to give a recorded statement, and sometimes, depending on the type of case, you can give out too much information just to give them ammunition to deny your particular claim. So the issue in this case, your case, is, you know, what was the cause of the fire, what was the nature and origin of the fire, to determine whether or not your homeowner's insurance will be triggered to come in and pay for these repairs. Depending on the exclusions of the policy, Sharon, it might. If they have an exclusion for defective wiring or defective electrical that maybe wasn't signed on or wasn't up to code, that's something that they may deny that particular claim for.
Don't they have to prove that? Does the insurance company have to prove it?
They do. Now, you have to do to mitigate damages. So they may make an argument that you didn't lock the house up, people got in there and stole the evidence, and we can't make a determination. I would still argue, based on the facts, that the fire marshal should come in and do a report to determine the origin of that fire. And then when you take that report to your insurance carrier, let's say it was bad electrical work that was signed off and was up to code, something that you could not or should not have been on notice of, your insurance will most likely come in and pay those damages. You'll lose your deductible, but they'll send an adjuster out, make an estimate, and oftentimes they have people that they use to do these type jobs, and they'll pay them directly. Or you can go get quotes yourself and then submit those to the insurance company, and they'll cut you a check where you can make the payments to any laborers or whoever's going to come in and fix that damage. So you might have to, depending on if they deny your claim. But I would lean on the fire marshal's report to find out exactly what was the nature or origin of the fire, and then submit that to your insurance carrier. But you want to make sure to contact them sooner rather than later to put them on notice of your potential claim, and hopefully they'll be fair with you. But again, you want to get, you want to be safe than sorry, so you may want to sit down and talk with the lawyer to make sure that you got your ducks in a row before you make your claim to the insurance carrier.
Vanessa, check with all your neighbors too. So many people have got Ring doorbells and security cameras and something.
Right.
I'd like to think that somebody had a recording. If you talk to them soon enough that you could get a hold of it, that might be useful.
The house blew up, could be a gas leak.
Could be a gas leak.
Right, but the fire marshal, well, they'll sort it out. They sure will.
We've got Lindy on the line with a question from Huntsville. Hi, Lindy. Thanks for calling. What's your question tonight?
I have $250,000 insurance on my truck.
Okay.
If I'm found guilty of causing an accident and the insurance lawyers get the person awarded $350,000,
where's the extra $100,000 come from?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. How does that work?
All right, so oftentimes you'll have different type of coverages. Let's say you have a max of $250,000, like in your case. In the scenario you just presented, let's say the jury finds against you in the amount of $350,000. Your automobile insurance will pay that $250,000, and the delta between the $250,000 and $350,000, that extra $100,000, you are on the hook for, and you owe that personally. Now, most folks don't have that money sitting in a bank somewhere, so it makes it difficult to make that, to make those payments. The attorneys could file a type of lien on property. They could garnish your wages, anything to execute on that particular judgment. So you want to have as much insurance as you can in cases like that. Maybe look at an umbrella policy. Sharon and I talked at the beginning of the show about the kids getting insurance. If you've got kids in your household and their insurance is with the same company, same policy, and it's not up to a certain coverage, your umbrella coverage will not be triggered, and you won't have that type of coverage. So you may want to talk to your insurance carrier about umbrella coverage over and above your specific minimum or maximum limit for that vehicle. And again, hopefully you won't cause a wreck, but again, you never know. And so you want to have as much coverage as you can afford depending on your assets. Now, let's say you have no other assets other than your vehicle. Do you need that much coverage? Are you judgment proof? And that's something, if you have limited assets, do you need $1 million worth of coverage?
Right.
You know, but do you want to file bankruptcy? How much is the coverage and how much does it cost of that coverage? You want to evaluate all those things, talk to your agent, but again, make sure you get as much coverage as you can afford based on the assets you have to protect as well. And so that's a balancing act.
So when you're talking about they could put a lien on Lindy's house for the $100,000 that she still owes beyond the $250,000 that's been paid by insurance.
That's right.
Can they execute on it and force her to sell the house to collect that money?
In certain circumstances, they could try and execute on that particular judgment to maybe put your house in foreclosure. Now, if there was a bankruptcy filing, that would stay all collection efforts, and then you could either do a Chapter 7 or a liquidation or a reorganization, and that would stay and not have, that would be an asset that would be protected under bankruptcy. So to answer your question directly, could they sell your house? They could, but there are defenses that you can employ to keep that from happening.
Okay.
But, you know, again, your wages could be garnished. You know, there's many liens against your home.
So she could be paying off that $100,000 out of her paycheck
right, so it can
for
lock
a long time.
It can lock you up pretty good. It sure can. So try and have as much coverage as possible.
We're going to take a break. Be right back answering more of your questions about fighting the insurance company. Stay with us.
You're watching WAAY 31 Law Call. Your rights, your calls, live. Presented by the Tennessee Valley's award-winning personal injury and wrongful death law firm, Timberlake, League & Brooks. Featuring the knowledge and experience of Attorney Michael Timberlake, Attorney Will League, Attorney Heath Brooks, Attorney William Maservi, and hosted by broadcaster and family law attorney Sharon Doviet. This is WAAY 31 Law Call.
Welcome back to 31 Law Call. I'm Sharon Doviet. Tonight we're talking all about insurance claims, fighting the insurance company. Will League's here from Timberlake, League & Brooks. They're personal injury attorneys, so they do everything from car accidents to medical malpractice. You deal with the insurance company all the time.
Every day.
So you're the exact right person to talk about this with. Call in your questions, the 31 Law Call number, 256-536-0077. You can also now text your question to that same number. So text in your question. We'll have some of those. We also get your email questions like this one from Mark. Mark had written in, my dad was in an accident with a big truck on his way to work. He was hospitalized for a few weeks and is now in physical therapy. The other insurance company is offering some compensation, but it's not very much. Should we hire a lawyer to handle this or try to negotiate it on our own?
I guess it's kind of self-serving to say, hey, yeah, you need a lawyer, but oftentimes you do.
You get better results.
And you get, the statistics show you get a higher result, but that's, one question is when to negotiate it. Oftentimes, the insurance company will contact you early before you really know, before you've got the bills in from the hospital, and they'll make an offer. I've had a lot of clients that have taken that initial offer before they even have the bills in. They didn't realize, hey, let's say I took $10,000 and then I get the hospital bill that's $20,000. Yeah. And they're upside down already.
And you can't undo it.
You can't.
Right.
You can't undo it. Once you sign that release, it's like a guillotine fall, and there is no other discussion. That's that. Another important factor to consider is the backside. If you've got Medicare, Medicaid, VA benefits, Social Security disability, regular health insurance, they have what's called subrogation interests and sometimes even direct liens to where they make a claim on that money. So oftentimes, just a layperson doesn't know what money will have to come out of that particular offer. And you'll get a letter from your health insurance company, you'll get a letter from Medicare, Medicaid, and it takes a long time to sort their interests out. And so until you at least know what their interests are, you don't know what's a fair value for your particular claim. Oftentimes, I think the caller said he's now in physical therapy. If he's still getting treatment, you haven't determined, what's the recovery? What extent is the recovery? Is it 100%? Is it 80%? What deficiencies are left from those injuries? And so when to negotiate, What are the variables that could come out of that settlement? Those are important factors to consider. So I really, unless it's a small claim and there's not a lot of bills and you can't get hung up, maybe. But if it's more complicated, you can really get in trouble quick if you go it alone. And that's just the facts. Right?
So if the insurance company offers you and you take a $10,000 settlement and your insurance, your health insurance has been paying for your treatment all along.
Right, right.
You think you're going to get $10,000 and you're going to keep $10,000, and that's probably not what's going to happen.
Right, because your insurance company in all your insurance policies, they have what's called a subrogation clause, where if you recover from a third party, let's say it's a motor vehicle wreck, and you recover from the other driver's insurance carrier, that money, all that does not go to you. Before the insurance, let's say you make the agreement, you sign the release, before the insurance company would make you a payment, they have to check for any liens from the hospital, from any other health care provider that may be out there, and you don't know what those are. So if a lot of people accept the offer, then they're in a holding pattern only to find out they owe more money to the insurance company, their health insurance, or things like that. So you can get upside down quick.
Yeah.
And so we do recommend, at least sitting down and talking to somebody to get your variables in order so you make the most educated decision possible.
And that consultation with personal injury attorneys is free.
That's right. We don't charge for consultation. We'll go over it with you and find out what's what.
Yeah. We got this text message in, so 2 parts here. Can I be laid off while on FMLA for my wife battling stage 4 cancer? And then we're going to talk about, does he have to pay the medical bills if his wife passes away? Is he responsible for those bills if she doesn't survive? So FMLA, can you get fired or laid off while you're trying to use your
I'm not crazy familiar with that, but I would say if you are qualified for the program and you're within the program, I think there's going to be a stay of letting you go during that time. Now, the second question, Sharon, was...
Is he if his wife passes away, and we're very sorry to hear about your wife's cancer, if the wife does not survive and she leaves behind a bunch of medical bills, does the spouse and family have to pay those medical bills?
Now, those are her medical bills.
Yeah.
Now, unless he signed off saying, I agree to be responsible for these bills, I would say no. But typically, the insurance that was covering her during her life will cover those as well. So those bills should be covered. But it's an important question to ask, because you can wake up and next thing you know, you've got hundreds of thousands of medical bills that are due.
Yes.
But you may want to talk to your insurance company on the front end just to make sure that those are covered.
We've got Jeff on the line with a question from Huntsville. Hi, Jeff. Thanks for calling. What's your question tonight? Hey, Jeff, if you'll just listen to your phone and turn your TV off, because there's going to be a delay and it's going to confuse you. Hi, Jeff. Thanks for calling. What's your question tonight?
Well, I've got a question about the insurance company is saying they're not going to cover a roof replacement because of deteriorating wood.
Okay. And you need to know what to do? Okay.
It was caused by missing shingles that the wind has blown off.
Okay.
Jeff, are they saying those shingles were gone long enough to where you should have repaired them and that let water in, or what are they saying?
They're just saying certain ones. They're just saying that deteriorating wood, period, they're not going to cover it.
Right. Now, they mention any exclusion for rot. I know you're saying deteriorating wood. Did they say, hey, that's an exclusion and we don't cover that?
No. Like I said, all they said is that they would not cover deteriorating wood.
Okay. All right. So if you need a new roof and you think it's from those shingles missing, and the water got in from those shingles missing, the first question is something that you should have or could have been aware of? Was there leaking in the house? Did you fail to what they call mitigate damages, or basically find an issue and fail to fix it, or negligence yourself? And it doesn't sound like they've said that. So I think the argument would be on your side is the shingles were missing. Those shingles allowed water to get in there and then create that damage. The question is, and they can tell, how long has that damage been there? Is it dry rotted to where they can show and put time on that particular part of the roof that needs replacing? If so, they may have a valid defense because they can show that wood rot's been there for sufficient amount of time that you should have or could have been aware on that and failed to fix it. Now, it's not unusual for them to go ahead and deny it once out of a matter of course. So you may want to get an expert to come in there and say, okay, this is the cause of the issue. This is the cause and the reason you have to have the roof replaced. If it's not from rotting wood, then you may have an argument. Take that back to the insurance company. If they fail to at that point, and your expert is clear on what the nature and extent and cause of the damage is, you may have to file a claim and sue your insurance company to make them go ahead and pay that particular claim.
Let's talk about what property insurance can cover. So we got a text question in. What if the person you're suing doesn't have insurance, but you live in an apartment complex and the incident occurred at the apartment? Can you sue for the property's insurance? When can you go after the building insurance for something that happens to you that might not even seem related?
But depending on, the building's insurance won't cover for individual acts.
Okay.
Won't cover, if let's say you're in apartment A and the person in apartment B did something to cause damage to you or injury to you or damage to your apartment, the insurance company will not cover that particular person for that conduct. However, if there's something in the common area that happens that causes injury to you or damage to your property, that may trigger the apartment complex's insurance to come in as well. But again, they typically won't cover acts of third parties that are unforeseeable.
Okay. Okay, sort of related to this, Gail sent in an email. A storm dropped a tree on my house and my car in the driveway. Sorry, Gail. The insurance company's working with me on a new roof, but I only have liability on my car. I was told most homeowners' policies would cover the damage to vehicles. Could that work? Is that true? How do I handle it?
The good news is it wouldn't be under her automobile coverage.
Okay.
It would be under her homeowners.
Okay.
But if the tree is in her yard,
the
tree's in her neighbor's yard, their insurance company may provide coverage to her home and her car. So the good news is, if you don't have car insurance, it doesn't matter because it would be outside your car insurance anyway.
Good, good. Good luck with that. We're going to take a break. Be right back answering more of your questions about fighting the insurance company. Haven't gotten your questions answered tonight, here's how to get in touch with Will League with Timberlake League and Brooks in Huntsville, 256-536-0770 or 800-804-2502. They are personal injury attorneys, so everything from car accidents to medical malpractice, nursing home negligence. Check out also law-injury.com.
And our very own Sharon Dovey, Sharon Family Law, Child Custody and Divorce, 539-7337 or SharonFamilyLaw.com.
It is a law now that everybody's supposed to have car insurance.
Right.
But there's a huge percentage still don't. What do you do about that?
Well, okay, you have to have liability.
Okay.
That's all you have to have under the law. And if you don't have that, they can revoke your license, revoke your registration for your vehicle. And be careful to make sure you've got, quote, full coverage, and that includes underinsured motorists. And Sharon mentioned a lot of people don't have automobile coverage.
Even though it's the law.
Even though it's the law, and so to say maybe a third of the folks don't have it. And if you don't have underinsured motorists and you're hit by an uninsured driver that flees the scene, there's no way to pay for your medical bills, personal injury, things like that. It's cheap coverage. Now, your insurance carrier, for you not to have it, you have to actually physically sign a waiver. It's that important, and there's a reason that you have to sign that waiver. So be careful, have underinsured motorists because you may need it.
We'll see you next week.